Hello, 203. Okay, so I wanted to go over lesson 12 and also lesson 13, but really 12. And that was the day that I had to go to the nurse halfway through the day during our math lesson. And so I just want to make sure that we know what we're talking about because we had a sub at that time. So first things first, when you do a tape diagram, you no longer have to do circles, okay? So we would eventually, we used to have to do that. Well, we're getting away from that. You don't have to do an array anymore. So if you were to do a tape diagram like that, then you could just use numbers instead. So that's the first thing I want to tell you. Second, you have to pay attention to the directions, okay? So let's go over one that was in your homework. It says Ms. Meyer organizes 15 clipboards. So I have 15 clipboards equally is a huge word for us, okay? Into 3 boxes. How many clipboards are in each box? So the very first thing you need to do, it's not going to be written for you, but this is a strategy that will help, I promise, is that you need to say to yourself and then write down also, what is my total? What is the size of the group? And what is the number of groups? That will help you right away. So here I'm reading that Mrs. Meyer organizes 15 clipboards equally into 15 boxes. So I know that there are 15 clipboards. And I know that she takes those 15 clipboards and she puts them into 3 boxes. Equally tells me that this would be a division problem or a multiplication problem at this point at least because it's equal separating, okay? And so I know that my number of groups is 3 boxes because I know that the clipboards are being split up and we have 3 boxes. So my unknown right now, is the size. How many are in each of the boxes? So this is how I'm going to draw this tape diagram, okay? I know the number of groups, so I'm immediately going to break this up into 3 equal boxes. When you have a tape diagram, these units are now representative of the number of groups. So I have 3 groups, and I have a total of 15 clipboards. So I'm going to draw my bracket, and I'm going to write 15 clipboards, and then I can even write underneath here 3 boxes. So my question then is, how many clipboards are going to be in each of those boxes? Well, if you knew your division facts or multiplication facts, you would know that 15 clipboards divided and put equally into 3 boxes is going to give you 5 clipboards in each box. If you didn't know that, you could count up if you needed to. You could skip count. There are many different ways. If you needed to do that and then figure it out like that, you could do that. Ultimately, you should know, if you're memorizing your 3 facts, that 15 divided by 3 is going to give you 5. So then you're going to do 5, 5, 5. And the last thing you have to do is just label one of those units. So you can say there would be 5 clipboards. And personally for me, I like it to say 5 clipboards in 1 box. So you're not only talking about the size, but you're also representing, hey, that's a box, that's a group, and there are 5 clipboards in that one particular box, okay? If you wanted this to be an amazing problem that you would get all of your points for, you would then write a sentence that answers the question that's being asked. How many clipboards are in each box? There are 5 clipboards in each box. And then, of course, you could fill in the unknown, which would be 5, okay? There is another problem that was getting people a little confused. Sorry, this is a little not coming off as well as I would like. The one that was getting people confused has to do with when you are using your doubles, when you are splitting something equally into two. It's not as complicated as you're trying to make it. So simply know your two facts, know your doubles, and you're going to be okay. So the question was 16 action figures are arranged equally. Again, that gives us into a clue. Multiplication division, we're looking into equal groups on two shelves. Okay, so think about that. Which one is the one that's like the group that's holding the items in it? Okay, so I'm going to write it here. My total is the 16 action figures. My size is, well, we don't know yet, right? Because it says show each, it says how many action figures are on each shelf. So we don't know yet. But we do know the number of groups, and that would be 2 because there are 2 shelves. So we're looking to know how many action figures are on each shelf. Okay, so same exact thing. When you're doing a tape diagram now, you're going to make sure that your total is down here and we have 16 action figures. Well, they were put onto 2 shelves equally. So you just make a giant line to split that tape diagram in half. Now, at this point, you should know what your two facts are. So you would know that 16 divided by 2 shelves is going to give you 8 action figures on each shelf. So you could say 16 action figures. You can say 8 action figures, and then label one of the units, which would be 1 shelf, 8 action figures. And then to answer the problem fully, you would write and answer the question, which they said how many action figures are on each shelf. There are 8 action figures on each shelf. And that's how you're going to do the tape diagram. So you're not going to do the little dots anymore in the array. And you really, really have to do total, size of group, number of groups. That is going to help you immensely when you're doing these problems. You're going to tend to get confused. I've seen it. You don't know what you're talking about. 16 action figures, 2 shelves, 8 shelves on 2, 16, you get all confused. So that's why if you label everything, then you're going to know what you're actually looking for. If worse comes to worse and your brain is like, I have no idea what's going on, then simply draw it. You have 16 action figures and there are 2 shelves. Here's a shelf, here's a shelf. 1 action figure, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then you go, oh, okay, so there are 2 shelves, and then that's 8 action figures, and that's 8 action figures. That's only if worse comes to worse. Otherwise, you should be able to do the rest of this. We're moving on to groups of 3, groups of 4. So just know that with the tape diagram, the boxes themselves are now the groups, and what is inside the group is the size of the group. So this is the number of groups, 2 shelves, and the 8 is the size, the number of action figures inside each of those shelves. So pay attention to all of these things and you'll be fine. You'll totally be fine. All right, friends. Bye-bye.